Hey, welcome back to the MidFi Man. All right. So I kind of want to hit on something. Hey, look, this is the MidFi Man channel. So what I'm getting at with that is, I'm not just being repetitive. I'm getting at something with that. I'm not the HiFi channel, but I'm also not the lo-fi channel. I'm not the cheap audio man. I'm not Randy. I'm going to be me. I'm going to touch on some cheap stuff, and I'm going to touch on some expensive stuff. And isn't that a very relative thing? So one of my commenters, his comment has kind of, I've been wanting to talk about the topic of what is MidFi. I had somebody say the other day, some of those UHQRs, man, at that price point, that's not MidFi. Well, it certainly isn't MidFi at all. I agree with you. Although, if you look at some of, there are $450, $500 albums out there, and I'm not talking about used albums. I'm talking about brand new ones, where you're buying the lacquer. And if I can remember the name of the company, I'll try to put a link down. But very expensive records. So acoustic sounds and mobile fidelity are not the only ones dealing with expensive albums, and they are not the top of the price chain on the expensive albums. So, but I've had a few comments about price points, MidFi, HiFi, lo-fi, and I kind of wanted to hit on something. I had one guy comment on something that I have been trying to figure out how to talk about it. Still don't know quite how to talk about it. My wife looked at my system several weeks ago and said something about, well, this is your boat. I've said something for years. I don't remember where I heard it. I've heard other people say it. So since I've been saying it, but BOAT is nothing but an acronym that stands for bust out another 1,000. And that is a HiFi system. My boat, I've got a HiFi system. That's my boat. Okay. I got an F350, a Ford F350. I don't even need it. That's my boat. Eventually, we're going to buy a fifth wheel camper, and I'm going to need it for that. I had it, and when I bought it, I made money on it. I used it working on cell towers for AT&T and T-Mobile during disasters, and all over the United States. So I needed it at one point, but I don't need it anymore. Just spent $10,000 on the engine, and I have spent $10,000 on the engine twice. Okay, so what do you say about that? Somebody might say, well, man, I would never do that. I'd go buy me an F-150 and do it. For God's sakes, do it. I don't blame you. So I think we got to be careful what we say and how we say it. Not just to me, to anybody. Through the years, I remember when we lived in Michigan several years ago, 20 years ago, there was this guy's house. He lived in a double wide or something kind of like a double wide, maybe a modular. And he had a brand new pickup, and his wife had a brand new car. And he had a boat, and he had a set of jet skis, and we were living in Michigan. He had a set of snowmobiles, 2 snowmobiles. He had the trailers to pull all this stuff on, and I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand how in the world he must be up to debt past his eyeballs. Well, if he is, that's his business. Maybe he inherited a bunch of money. Maybe he had a life insurance policy on a relative, on a parent, and the parent died. Maybe he just works his tail off. Maybe he's a doctor and has a relatively, that house would have been a low station in life for a doctor or something of that nature, or a pharmacist. So I don't know what the situation was. I'm just using him for an example. But I would, as far as a boat, I could care less for a boat, but I want a HiFi system. Understand this, that $10,000 for a set of speakers in this business, the HiFi business, the MidFi business, 10 grand is very common, very common. Do I have a $10,000 set of speakers? No, I do not. Do I see myself buying a $10,000 set of speakers? My wife is 3 foot away and can hit me with something. Yes, I do eventually, but it's just not going to be right now. I have some different responsibilities. I've got children in the house. I've got 3 women that are in college, and we're at a different stage in our lives. But I can see how someone may be 25 years old and hear me talking about a $10,000 set of speakers, or another YouTuber talking about a $10,000 or $20,000 set of speakers, and be ape crap about it. Be like, there ain't no way I'm going to have a $20,000 set of speakers. Well, you know, you're 25 now. When you're 50, you might find yourself with a $20,000 set of speakers. So you need to be careful what you say and how you say it and who you say it to. Be understanding. There's a lot of people out there. I've got a very good friend of mine with a mid-90s little, I don't even know what that thing is. I think it may be a BMW or something. I don't know. And it is a tin can. He's got a $5,000 seat in it. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to the marine place here in Goldsboro and buying an $80,000 or $90,000 boat. I'm not going to buy a $20,000 boat. But yeah, I could see myself buying a $10,000 set of speakers or a $20,000 set of speakers. It will be my boat. I can see it. I don't know when that'll happen. I don't know if that'll happen. But I do know that I'm not going to be buying the boat. So I just think everything like this is relative. You know, I see guys all the time going to the Ford Motor Company picking up a $105,000 pickup. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say, there ain't no way I would ever be paying $105,000 for a pickup. I don't know. I mean, do you need it? So anyway, I hope this helps. You know, clips, think about it. Clips, can't hardly say it. Clips La Scalas are $13,500. And by the way, I saw pictures this morning. Corey Harrison put them up of the new Clips La Scalas, and they're not going to be $13,500. They're probably going to be $14,000 or $15,500. And you're probably going to have to run, the way they're set up now, you're going to have to run 3 monoblock amplifiers. And only, am I thinking right? That was, no, it's three amplifiers, one for the lows, one for the mids, one for the tweets. And the amplifiers are going to have to be juicy. So, you know, they're talking about the possibility of adding a crossover to that. That's kind of like with the Jubilees. That way you can run a stereo amplifier or a set of monoblocks, like 2 monoblock amplifiers to deal with that. So when you buy a set of Jubilees, they throw in I think it's about a $10,000 crossover network. They just throw it in. So they may do that with La Scala, except instead of it being a $10,000 network, there ain't no telling. Maybe a $500 or $600 or $1,000 network. So the price on the Scalas is going up. Cornwall, $6,500. You know, 2 years ago, I thought $6,500 was a ton of money. But over time, I just got to thinking about things. And I was like, man, we spend money on this. And I mean, we went on vacation last year and went to Cincinnati Reds, spent a week in Louisville, Kentucky. Well, no, I'm sorry, three nights, 4 days, 3 nights in Louisville in that area. Went to the Arc. If you don't know what that is, I can't help you right now. I think we spent $4,000. You know, didn't go on the credit card. You know, the same guy was making a comment like that. So I wouldn't go in debt for that. Well, I wouldn't either. So, yeah, don't go in debt for that. Don't go in debt for a $13,000 set of speakers. Don't go in debt for a $6,000 set of speakers or a $1,000 set of speakers. Totally agree. Just because you can't don't mean somebody else can. I'm sorry. Just because you cannot does not mean that anybody else cannot. So think about it. You know, I think it's good points. When you're 50, you tend to look at things a little different. When you're 40, you look at things different. You know, when you're 30, you definitely are looking at things different. When you're 30, you're just wrapped up. You're 40, you're wrapped up pretty tight too. I imagine when I'm 60, I will see all of this totally differently. I hope I don't have any regrets. So anyway, back to the sound, guys.